Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone.
Good afternoon to you, Shivani.
Good afternoon, Julia. Thanks. You know my pronouns are they, them. How are you doing?
Yeah. Thank you for telling me your pronouns. I use correct grammar, so the only thing I would need to refer you to is to your face would be you, but I'm not being rude. You can choose your pronouns. You can choose what you want to call yourself, but you don't get to require me to use incorrect grammar and factually incorrect things. You're not a plural. You're a one person, and you're a female person. So I will use she and her. Thank you very much.
Do what you like, I guess.
Well, there you are. You didn't need to tell me then, did you?
Maybe I'm just making sure people know in case they're watching and they want to refer to me respectfully.
Is it disrespectful for me to use correct factual grammar?
It's not incorrect or unfactual grammar to use singular they them pronouns for an individual. But we're here to talk about the cast review.
Yeah, but you chose to bring it up.
You chose to use the incorrect pronouns for me.
I chose to use the correct pronouns for a single woman who is appearing on my show.
I'm not a single woman, though. I'm a very special non-binary trans person.
Is that what this is all about? The desperate need to feel special and different from everyone else? The host has not even used a pronoun. She called you by name, but you just have to seek a little attention, don't you?
You come into our restaurants and then you get some people coming to your table and trying to disrupt your evening. It's abuse.
I'm going to start running into vegan restaurants.
That's fine. Go for
just
it.
shouting
That's your
and
right,
being
that's your
annoying
right
and
to protest
grabbing
this.
tables, and so you can't eat your gruel, and just see how you lot like it. I'm going to go to your house and chop paint all over it.
Piers, you've got a right to protest. Oof! You've got me another one.
Stick it off your bingo.
Fantastic.
Stick it off your bingo, son.
But where's the salt? Where's it?
Won't need any of this gruel. Let's put that
Fantastic.
to one side, but I will have a bit of steak just to.
You didn't salt it though.
You see, all you've achieved is you've made me want to do this. Just eat a
That's
lovely.
absolutely fine. You go for it.
A bunch of vegan activists barged into a Salt Bay steakhouse and decided to harass customers just trying to enjoy their meal. No one burgers you when you eat grass and make-believe chicken, guys. The restaurant should have smacked them with a lawsuit for disruption. A studio debate wraps up with a simple question about offensive words, and suddenly a calm reply turns into a live demonstration of the very stereotype nobody wanted tested on air.
I just want to get one final thought from you. Are there words that are used to describe men that offend you?
Not particularly, and if there are some I don't like, I certainly wouldn't want them banned, but it always goes back to that old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but there will always be something to offend a feminist.
Peter Lloyd.
No, that's just obnoxious.
Peter
Sorry,
Lloyd
you have to give me a chance to respond to that. That is ridiculous. No, hang on, I won't do your show again if you don't let me respond to that.
Go on, Kate, have a word.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
Peter drops the classic Sticks and Stones remix, barely raising his voice, and the reaction is instant combustion. Kate goes from composed guest to full volume protest in under 10 seconds, demanding airtime like it is a civil right. When outrage becomes the evidence, you kind of prove the punchline for him. Here's a woke TV host who tries the quota routine, tossing smug comments like they count as arguments.
Maybe you just think that women should be equally represented in the decision-making fora of our nation.
I don't understand your question, I guess.
I guess you don't. That's pretty obvious, unfortunately.
Well, how about if you phrase it more clearly, instead of just insulting me? Look at it this way. Let's talk about quotas for a minute. There's a very wide array of jobs that are fundamentally done by men. 99.9% of bricklayers are men. Should we have quotas for women?
Is bricklaying representative democracy?
That has nothing to do with the question. The question is if there's evidence of structural inequality and oppression because women aren't precisely represented at 50% in all professions at all levels, then why don't we have a conversation about having women represented in all professions at all levels? Why do we talk about politics and positions of power? Why don't we talk about it across the board?
Then a calm, direct response flips the script with one simple question they never want asked. Suddenly the logic falls apart, the insults stop, and silence does the rest. Reality has a way of ruining talking points.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you're asking me about Muslim illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one, it is illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland, we will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we have not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racist. I don't care. I care about my family and about...
You would call the cops if some uninvited stranger comes into your home, no? Let's switch the question. If a homeless man breaks your lock and settles in your kitchen because he is hungry and homeless, would you let him? Systems are put in place to allow outcomes that can be managed. Don't be ridiculous. Liberals are always minding everyone's business, I tell you.
You want to have confidence in the current leadership of the Pentagon and the way the defense situation has been operating for the last several years. I mean, from the Afghanistan pullout, which was an extreme debacle for which no one was held accountable. We've had spy balloons flying over the United States. We built a $300 million pier as a public relations stunt, which wound up killing an American service member. I'd say I've had just about enough of the so-called insiders running the Defense Department. I think we ought to give Pete Hegseth a chance because he's got two insiders. All the criticism of him is that he's not the expected Washington pick, and I'm just saying to you that the American people just voted against the expected Washington pick. So he's got 20 years in service, Afghanistan, Iraq, 2 Bronze Stars, Princeton, Harvard. Yeah, he's on TV, but so are the rest of us.
By the way,
I think he ought
that
to
listen
be
you
given
just
a
gave
chance.
is really interesting because you highlighted a bunch of things that the civilian leadership of the country decided on. In the military, their job was just to execute. They execute.
How did it go?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
How did it go?
In terms of the decision making, you're assigning decision making responsibility to the military over things that civilians are responsible for.
So you make a good point. The civilian leadership made decisions, and then the people they put in charge of the Pentagon carried it out. And it was all pretty much a disaster. So now we have a new president who I think got elected in part because of some of those disasters. And he's going to put in some of the non-insiders in charge of not just this agency, but a bunch of them. Now, look, they've got to perform. They've got to perform. I mean, we've got 53 U.S. senators that are Republicans. And Pete Hegseth, he's an American hero. The man won 2 Bronze Stars for his service, and he's been a champion for veterans. He's going to have to go up there just like everybody else and prove his knowledge of how to do this job. He's not immune from that, but we ought to give this man a chance, in my opinion.
Wokies have been trying to find something to be made about lately, so they chose the president-elect's nomination. Are you upset that he used to be a host on Fox? The man's gotta work, no?
The women in this country still make 77 cents on the dollar for what men make. So if women don't make less than men?
Actually, if you start looking at the numbers, Rachel, there are lots of reasons for that.
Wait. No.
Well,
don't tell
first
me
of
the
all,
reasons are. Do women make less than men for doing the same work?
No, because...
Wow.
Well,
okay.
Well, for example, men work an average of 44 hours a week. Women work 41 hours a week. Men go into professions like engineering, science, and math that earn more. Women want more flexible
Listen, this is not a math is hard
No. Yes, it is, actually.
No, it isn't.
Well, you have to
listen.
All right, let Rachel frame it, though, the way she
right now,
laid it out.
women are making 77 cents on the dollar for what men are making.
But that's not true. If so,
let Rachel make her point.
Every greedy businessman in America would hire only women, save 25%.
It's time for a quick crash course in Logic 101. All right, folks, let's put on our thinking caps. If women are clocking in fewer hours than men, it stands to reason that their paychecks might not be as hefty. Sure, there might be other factors at play, but when it comes to simple math, fewer hours generally mean less dough. No rocket science here, just plain old logic.
In this next clip, we've got a primetime CNN moment where the topic is race and wealth, and the expected script gets flipped in under 10 seconds.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't
Today?
or cannot? Yeah.
No. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
Probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue. It seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycle, it's in the news, but sometimes I get so tired of talking about it. I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is a problem.
Don Lemon tees up the systemic narrative, and Morgan Freeman calmly says, today, no shouting, no theatrics, just personal responsibility over perpetual grievance. When the victim script gets declined on live television, the silence says more than any panel ever could.
There's a lot to unpack of what kind of went wrong for Democrats here. I think a factor is the working class feeling left behind, not reaching out to rural Americans. But what do you identify as Democrats got wrong? And it seems like you agree Biden maybe should have stepped aside sooner.
He definitely should have stepped aside. I said it a year ago. I was on camera, everybody was getting on me. I said it a year ago. He needs to step.
You took some heat.
You remember, though, that he said, does everybody remember he said he was just going to do it for 4 years?
That's right. Yeah. That's what I brought up.
Right. And did you think that once you know who stepped in, he said, well, there's nobody, we don't have anybody?
Well, the point is that it's not about who you're going up against when you know you're not what you used to be. And see, this is where covering sports puts me at a distinct advantage. I cover people every day where it's time to go, but you're holding on and you don't want to leave. People who cover the world of sports are accustomed to seeing that all the time. And so now here you are, to answer your question directly, you are the left, you leaned, and you were a prisoner to the extreme left in a lot of people's eyes. Well, guess what? Most of America doesn't operate on the fringes. Whether you're left or you're right, you're relatively centrist. You believe in compromise, negotiation, working with one another. Nobody gets to get everything they want. The problem is those on the fringes continuously push for you to get everything you want. They're not about getting things done. They're about getting their way. And if they're not going to get their way, they're about complaining and griping about it because they understand that when you are operating based off of grievance, that's usually what provokes you to get to the polls. And that is why they don't mind feeling aggrieved and displaying and disseminating that kind of message, because they know people are going to gravitate to that. And as a result, that might get them to the polls, you thinking you're going to get what you want as a result of it. And in this particular case, the Republicans were right.
So you think the Republicans are sort of an extreme fringe party?
No, I don't that they're an extreme fringe party. I think that they're operating against those they believe are extreme on the left. Like, for example, when you talk about the LGBTQ community, I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. I'm fiscal with my dollars. I ain't apologizing for not wanting to pay high tax to anybody. I'm not apologizing for that, right? But outside of that, I'm pretty liberal. Live and let live, okay? But you had folks on the left that were introducing some things when we got in the whole transgender issue, and they were talking about bathrooms, or they were talking about males transitioning to females and competing against girls in sports and stuff like that. These
That's
are
less than 1% of the population.
I understand that,
but you know what? Add Eric during the NFL.
But see, but I think that's where the mistake is made. You're saying it's ridiculous. I don't disagree with you. But most of the voters out there don't think like that. But
that means they don't have the information.
Okay, but 90% of the voters don't have the information. If you're out there busting your tail to make ends meet and to pay your bills, and you're going to work every day, and you got a family to take care of, and you're in New York City, you're getting stuck 2 hours of your day, you're stuck in traffic. You understand? You got a whole bunch of stuff to go through. You don't have time to know what you and I know.
Maybe you need to listen to the news when you're in traffic.
Well, again,
maybe
I agree
not.
with that.
Be uninformed.
Or you listen to stuff that's going to take you away from the things that brings down your spirit. And that's unfortunately what most voters are doing.
Sunny is so far on the left she can't be seen anymore. Not agreeing with you doesn't make people dumb. This is why you guys lost and might probably keep losing.
Explain your domestic setup. You're married, is that right?
Yes, I'm in a multi-adult family. There's 3 of us that are raising 2 children, an 8-year-old and my 1-year-old.
And how would you describe yourself? You were born biologically male, or how would you describe?
I'm non-binary. Yeah, I'm non-binary, which means that I don't identify as a man or a woman, and I use they/them pronouns.
Okay, and your wife or partner, is it a wife? How would you describe your other half?
Well, all of the adults in my household identify as transgender or non-binary.
Right, and you're only married to one, or you're married to both?
Legally married to one.
Right.
In a relationship with another.
So the one you're legally married to, what is their name?
Bren.
Bren, and Bren identifies as?
A woman. Uses
woman.
she, her.
And she was born a woman and remains identifying as a woman?
Yeah. Yeah, she's a woman.
Okay, and who's the third member of the setup?
My partner, Luna, who uses they/them pronouns as well.
And Luna is male or female? or
non-binary?
Non-binary. And okay, but you're not married to Luna.
No.
Okay, and you have 2 children in the house.
Yes.
What a great family. There is no mom or dad. The children are being raised by 3 adults with mental issues who claim to be gender neutral. This is a perfect family that will blossom happily in the society.
Okay, and just to clarify again, Sparrow, we don't know whether Sparrow was born male or female because you haven't said that. The Sparrow is now non-binary?
No, Sparrow is, I would say, anti-gender, which is a term, that means before gender. Like, all children, at this age are developmentally not able to really understand gender yet. It's just something that they don't have the understanding for. So it's not that the child is non-binary, it's that the child just doesn't have any gender yet.
Hold up, her 1-year-old is anti-gender. Who came up with these terms? Did the baby say that? Or did they decide that? What if the 1-year-old gets older and says she doesn't want to be gender neutral? Did they consider that?
People's interests or hobbies or preferences don't dictate what their gender is.
When did Hazel
having a preference?
Yeah, when did Hazel decide that she was no longer going to be a girl?
Hazel decided that they were non-binary when they were about 4. They had been exploring gender before that, trying on different pronouns, experimenting with different names, but they picked they, them pronouns and chose the name Hazel when they were 4
Ari,
years old.
with the greatest of respect, I have a 7-year-old daughter, right? When she was 4 years old, her main decision of the day was whether to watch Peppa Pig or Frozen. She had not a clue what about gender identity or non-binary or any of this stuff. And I put it to you that this wasn't Hazel's idea, was it? This was your idea. You decided that Hazel had gender issues that she needed to address, and you persuaded your daughter that she was no longer to be a girl, didn't she?
I mean, I personally don't agree with that assertion, but I can see how that could be misconstrued. I think that every family environment is unique.
Poor Hazel. I think this is pretty exhausting and confusing. She's a girl, but has to grow up thinking that she is non-binary when, surprise, she is actually a girl. Over to this one, a woman who preached about reparations gets a taste of her own logic and suddenly forgets how to speak.
You have constantly argued that white people today should pay reparations for slavery even though they had no part in it and that many of their ancestors never owned the slaves. But now we know that your ancestors owned the slaves. So by speaking your language and holding your own standards, you have a net worth of $6 million. And if you spend only 1% of it for reparations, which would be $60,000, you can pay $1,000 to 60 black people each. So I think now would be the perfect time. I can already see black people in the audience. Go ahead, pay your reparations. I'm sure they take PayPal or Venmo.
You could hear the hypocrisy snap in half. The guy just flipped her script word for word and her brain blue screened. It's funny how fast moral principles disappear when they start applying to you. Justice for all, but not me, right? Meanwhile, Sunny Hostin gets hit with the most uncomfortable question and suddenly the room goes silent.
The White House is looking into offering $5,000 cash bonuses for women to have more babies.
When I looked into that, they're saying that the U.S. birth rate is declining. However, in 2024, there was a 1% increase in U.S. births, but that increase was with Hispanic mothers and Asian mothers. So they don't seem to be concerned about that increase. They seem to be more concerned about a decrease in other populations.
Say it.
It's just based on a study. So I just leave that with all of you.
Well, Sonny, if you are worried about white Americans reproducing more children, perhaps you should encourage black women not to have the highest abortion rate in America.
Only on daytime TV can someone complain about low birth rates, then ignore who's not having babies. Imani just dropped the truth like a hammer, and Sunny had nothing but that classic loading screen expression. Facts don't care about your narrative, even under studio lights. On to the next, Damon Imani roasts Whoopi Goldberg so bad, even Elon Musk's 14 kids felt it.
And speaking of virgins,
Oh my God.
Elon Musk is exiting his White House position as head of Doge.
Well, Whoopi, a few things. First of all, he's not exiting his role. From day one, Elon was classed as a temporary government employee with a 130-day cap on his services at the White House. So, under that designation, his services would end when? At the end of May. And we are now at the end of May. Thank you. And on your virgin comment, Elon has 14 kids and the status to charm any woman anytime. But honestly, I'm not sure if the same thing can be said about you, because even though an average man has a much harder time getting laid on demand than women do, I would confidently state that most men, myself included, would take one look at you and say, nah.
She took a cheap shot at Elon Musk, and Damon Imani hit back harder than a Tesla launch. 14 kids, global empire, and still more charm than that entire talk show panel combined. The moment he said, nah, half the audience probably felt secondhand embarrassment. Coming up, a woman preaches natural beauty while wearing enough makeup to open a Sephora.
Women can do whatever they want to make themselves look better. What's wrong with that?
But there's a culture in thinking that that's what looks better specifically on women. We shoot men in high definition and we make women airbrush like emojis. And so I don't like that. I don't want to have Botox. I don't want to have filler. I don't want to have a facelift. I'm enjoying my grey hairs.
Well, Jamila, you are sitting here with dyed hair and a pound of makeup on your face, preaching about being natural. That's silly, no?
She gave a speech about embracing the natural look while rocking half a makeup counter and dyed roots. Damon just pointed it out, and suddenly, silence. The hypocrisy was louder than her blush. Some truths don't need a punchline, just a mirror.
If I were to ask Vice President Harris a question, I think I would ask her, how soon do you think we can get the Equality Act passed?
How about Donald Trump?
I would ask him, do you see me as a human?
Oh.
What just happened? Can you people be any more cringy? Like, please, just try. 1 week without any drama or self-induced victimization. That's all we ask.